everyone, and welcome in for the second ever mini-sode, I guess you could call it, of
Number 2.
Loosely Related, yeah. And if you can't tell, we're all wearing a very similar type of thing, and they all have the number 10 on them. So obviously, this is a David Beckham episode from
David Beckham.
Soccer player. Yep, and all that. No,
I thought it was the Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. Yeah, that's what it is.
Episode.
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
All right.
No, realistically, this is we really want to dedicate an episode. As you know, we are all Giants fans, and there was a pretty big event that happened yesterday, Friday morning, and that was Eli Manning officially announced his retirement. And, you know, we had talked about it a little bit in some other episodes, like we talked about fantasy football, that, you know, would Eli come back next year? What was his plans? I think at one point, Rob, you and I were saying that, I wonder if he's going to go to the Jaguars because Tom Coughlin was there, and they fired Tom Coughlin.
Right.
And then all of a sudden...
They did reunite, though.
They did reunite, eventually. Yeah. They reunited in the afterlife. That's what it is,
yes.
pretty much.
Yeah, they reunited at his press conference.
At his press conference, yeah, which for me is the afterlife. But, you know, on Monday he announced that he was going to be, you know, officially announcing his retirement on Friday. And we really wanted to kind of just do an episode where we just kind of, you know, talked about basically what he meant to... Really all Giants fans, and what he kind of meant to really like kind of football in general, I guess you could say. You know, I think a lot of people always had that debate whether or not he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. But no matter what, he's definitely in the Giants Hall of Fame. You know, John Mara at the press conference right then and there said, you know, we are retiring number 10. No Giant will ever wear number 10 ever again.
Right.
And I mean, I just kind of wanted to ask, like Rob, what were your initial reactions to hearing Eli Manning's retirement?
I was, I guess, a little surprised because it did sound like he still wanted to play. I mean, he made several mentions to still had, still having the gas, having something left in the gas tank, you know. But as usual, he's a consummate professional.
Yeah,
he takes it more gracefully, I think, than anybody about stepping down and actually. It's believable when you say, you know, you hear a lot of football teams go, oh, you know, we're going to take the veteran and he's going to help our new guy out. And in the background, most of the time, he's like, the hell I am.
Yeah, right.
I'm not stepping down for this little pecker.
Sure.
I mean, I think we know that's the truth.
Yes,
right?
100%.
I would say, in all honesty, I really believe that he really would step down and probably try to help Daniel Jones, you know, in the little time they were together.
Yeah,
he's like the anti-Tom Brady.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And now look, what are the Patriots going to do now?
And now look at that. And now look at Jimmy Garoppolo in the Super Bowl. He's like, ha-ha, screw you, Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
So, so I guess I was a little surprised, but... yeah, I'm super happy for him. I think he goes out on top for the most part, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, he as far as staying with one team, man, that's unreal in this day and age.
It really is.
Hardly
man.
even his brother, who had a long career and a great career, didn't finish with the Colts.
Right, and it looks like Tom Brady might not even finish with the Patriots. How crazy is that?
That's pretty crazy.
Like, there's an actual possibility he might leave the Patriots. Like, I guess I know
he might finish his career with the next NFL expansion season when they expand in like 20 years from now.
In 20, yeah, right. You know? Yeah, exactly.
He still looks like he's like 44 then.
Yeah, exactly. So Dad, what about you? What were your initial reactions to hearing the news? And then did either of you watch any of the press conference at all?
I didn't.
I watched the whole thing.
I didn't see the press conference. I was actually kind of surprised because I'm a huge Giants fan.
Yeah, of course.
I keep up on, and I have Giants information all the time through social media, and I didn't even get wind of it. I didn't even know about the press conference. Yeah, I heard about it through you.
They announced it. They didn't really announce it. Like, even I didn't know what
only
time.
One day apart.
Yeah.
From him saying it unofficially and then making it official.
Was it?
It's only a day. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I got you.
I don't think I was entirely surprised by it because I thought, to me, it was either he was going to maybe go to another team, but I couldn't see that happening, so I figured he was.
We knew that he was probably not going to stay. Like you and I were saying for months, and I know Rob was too, that he's definitely not staying with the Giants. Like, we knew that was not going to happen.
Yeah.
So he was either going to retire a Giant or leave the Giants. That was really the only two options. So, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, so I wasn't entirely surprised by it happening, you know?
Well, I definitely want to say, obviously, besides the 2 Super Bowls, I had my complaints about Eli over the year, but the guy played until he was 39 years old. He had a lot of good seasons under his belt. Just for purposes of just saying his stats, he finished his career with 57,023 passing yards, 366 touchdown passes, almost 5,000 completions, and this is almost like I would say a career feat. He finished his career 117 wins, 117 losses.
Yeah,
that's like over
even.
16 years. That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah,
wow. Perfectly 500.
Well, you figure consistency, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I heard them say it over and over, and it's an old cliche, but I haven't heard it in a long time. But it fits Eli Manning perfectly, and that's the best ability might be availability.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was always available.
Yeah,
for sure. He was probably the most durable football player I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. And my dad and I were talking. We were saying, maybe some of that is part of the reason why he might have lost some of his. For the last 2 or 3 years, you could see he was more or less, I don't want to say done, but he wasn't the same.
He was on the back.
It was to me. It was noticeable in his passing that he didn't. It's funny because it was noticeable to me that he couldn't. He wasn't accurate in it. The arm strength wasn't there. It seemed anymore.
Yeah.
Anything over 20 yards just seemed to be.
Well, I think we obviously all love and respect Eli, right? We got the two
absolutely.
Super Bowl champs. But he retired just this week, but his spiral retired about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's not all his fault because when you don't exactly have an offensive line,
that's what I was going to get to.
And you have like a millisecond to get rid of the ball, of course you're not going to be throwing perfectly.
So that's one of the things I was going to say. So, he played a lot of his career with a terrible O-line. He took a lot of big hits.
Especially if you look at the last 4 years specifically.
Yeah, exactly.
When we're talking about the decline, those teams are and even the coaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I think the O-line being so bad, he's taken so many big hits. At his press conference, one of the reporters asked him, you started all those consecutive games. Do you ever feel like there was a game that you started where you felt like maybe, you could take a game off, you're not really feeling too great, you're almost playing, maybe not necessarily injured, but you're playing hurt? And Eli literally responded, yeah, there were definitely a bunch of games where I know that I probably, maybe a doctor might have told me to sit, but, more or less, it's what, and he was like, but, it was never bad enough. And in my head, I'm like, man, maybe if you had done, like even your brother, he had that one serious neck injury, which took a whole season off, but even he had games where he would miss certain games, different injuries here and there. Tom Brady would do that every now and then. Maybe if Eli had taken some games off with that terrible O-line, he had a lot of big hits. I don't think anybody would have blamed him for missing a few games when he didn't have any protection. Because what I always say is kind of funny, all of those years that he had his best seasons, when he had his 5,000 passing yard seasons, were the years that he had a good offensive line. Those were the years where he had Chris Snee and Sean O'Hara, and he had, a lot of these great O-linemen, and then he was able to actually look at what he was able to do.
What were the
when
seasons?
You got him time
what years were he had? What were the seasons?
Well, Chris Snee was there for a while.
What years was it?
His I don't have his his
actual years. All right, so
I don't have his career like his step by step stats up whatever. But all I got to say is that his coaching was definitely something that he had Tom Coughlin for a long time and that was great. But I can't believe that he thanked Kevin Gilbride at the press conference, because that guy was the worst offensive coordinator I think ever. I don't give a crap if he won a Super Bowl. Those years we had a better defense than we did offense, so I don't really give a crap. I hated that old lineman. I could not believe that he was able to go ahead and do that. I don't know. That blew me. That was out of the. I couldn't believe it.
So
cannot believe.
I'm actually looking at his 2015 to 2018 stats.
Yeah.
His yardage is still good.
Yeah,
he's still putting up a lot of touchdowns.
He did a lot of dink and dunking, and yards after catch were probably high.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he dealt with constant offensive line changes, the head coach changes. Schumer obviously with that last little bit, but before then we had McAdone. He had a lot of stuff going on there. McAdoosh, whatever you want to call him, the baby daddy pedophile, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, so yeah, he dealt with a lot of changes. He went from a format where it was like a run and gun. They ran the ball and then they opened it up for the bootlegs or for the play action. Right. That was how they won.
Exactly.
There were long passes down and when that started to diminish and they started playing this other type of games, talk about, you're not wrong about that, Gilbert. Remember how vanilla it would be?
Yeah.
Once up the middle, twice up the middle, three up the middle.
Another I formation. Here we go.
No creativity whatsoever.
None at all.
Joey, just for the record, I don't know if I'm looking at the wrong site, but Eli Manning's career stats from 2004 through 2019 during the regular season.
Yeah.
According to what I'm looking at, he never finished above 5,000.
He never finished. So in 2011, he got, I believe what they were talking about is if you include the postseason, he was technically over 5,000 yards. Regular season, so like that.
Regular season, they had 4,930.
Right?
Yeah,
Because of the postseason, they added.
Oh, he
in
didn't
on
have a
that?
regular season with 5,000?
I
thought
was
he had one or
surprised.
two.
I don't know if that there is an
According to
asterisk.
this, there's an
There
asterisk
is an
next to that
asterisk
particular
next to it,
season.
which
He had
is what I'm not- no, you have to scroll.
4,933.
You got to scroll down. That's what it is. There's what they call adjusted passing.
All
and I
right.
guess that's something that's a little bit different. That's where I believe, I would assume it probably shows their whatever the right thing or whatever. But no, I remember seeing somewhere. I saw that as well when I was like sort of like looking this stuff up, and a lot of people had said that. But like, the point that I was making is that the best year he ever had, right? So like he had a couple good seasons, right? It always seemed like with Eli, and maybe this is just a testament to how important the quarterback, like position is as a whole. When he had his best seasons was when the Giants had their best overall regular seasons. Like when he had his best year of his career, arguably, was in 2011 when he had almost 5,000 passing yards, not including the postseason. He had basically 30 touchdowns, and that was 2011 when the Giants once again went back to the Super Bowl with the Patriots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like, there's definitely something to be said about that. Eli's play, I think, sort of dictated where the Giants were going to be as a team that season. You could see if Eli was on his game, you could see, wow, he's throwing like really well this year. Giants are probably going to have a pretty good
He looked
season.
sharp, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely had more like a little more oomph on the ball. He could get it zipped pretty well.
Yeah.
And that's obviously his velocity, even though they were trying to say the last 2 years that it was all right. I mean, it was obvious it was not.
No,
Yes,
it
It
wasn't.
had
was
decreased
not.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I know we've talked about this before, and I'm sure there's probably some stat, this is probably measurable somehow.
Yeah.
But I mean, just by the naked eye, he really looked to put his receivers at risk a lot, throwing behind them, above them.
Yeah.
And, O-line, everything, whatever. It could be a ton of things.
Yeah.
But I think on the flip side of that, it's easy to forget if people were willing, he made people with average talent look awesome.
Yeah.
Because the Giants had turned a lot of them away, and they went nowhere
They
after
went
that.
nowhere else.
Right? We
Yeah.
talk about it a few times, all the tight ends. He made that.
Jeremy
He made
Shockey.
tight ends.
I mean, Shockey was somewhat touted even before, but after they got rid of him, a lot of people were upset, even though he had an attitude problem. I think that was the thing in New York then. They wanted, team players, not just the
He was
meat
one of the
players.
guys who was complaining. he
But
wasn't
we got
getting
Kevin
enough.
Boss after him.
Yeah, and
he
he was
was
so much
just a
better.
rookie receiver, a rookie tight end in the
He was
NFL, and all of
really
a sudden
good.
he's like getting touched and big plays and big moments.
He made a
came
big
through in
catch
that
in a
Dallas
Super Bowl.
Cowboys game.
Oh,
and
I'm sorry, Dallas Cowboys game.
In the
Yeah,
Dallas
right.
Cowboys, a bunch of big ones.
Yeah.
You had that 2007, 2008. I love talking about it because it's the best run I've ever seen. For me personally, it's my favorite run ever.
Yeah.
I think he just silenced everybody that year by
Yeah.
going on the road. They call him a road warrior.
The Road
Yeah.
Warrior.
He just went to Dallas after losing twice that season and pretty badly the one time and significant numbers both times. I think it was like 35-20 or so. It was pretty
And it
bad.
was probably during the regular season, probably one of the greatest fourth quarter coming.
And
Yeah.
the two
One-
2-minute drills, yeah.
Yeah, 2-minute drill.
drill.
Yeah, the 2-minute drill quarterback.
And look what he was throwing to. I mean, I think when we remember in the moment, we thought they were so great because we did have the pass rush. And
Sure.
the offensive line had been together for some time.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
And he was younger, obviously.
Right.
But when he finally came into his own, I think in that fourth, fifth season, I think to me, it took a little while.
Yeah, it did.
For the first few years.
Yeah.
But it took him a little while. But when he finally did come into his own, I mean, he elevated people who were willing to listen to him.
Yeah.
I think he understood the game at a high level.
I
Right.
agree with that completely. Yeah, he was a good game manager. I mean, the thing is, he might have made dumb decisions in the passing game, but I really think like people, it's funny because his brother was known as like the sheriff, the guy who like changing plays and he
Right,
knew the
yeah.
game. But I think that literally overshadowed. Eli was known for he could do that, maybe not as well as Peyton, but he was very
Right.
good at that. He was also
Yeah.
very talented at like calling
Understanding
audibles
what's
and
coming,
understanding,
exactly.
being able to read the defense and read
Right.
where the cornerbacks are in coverage and being able to call switch the play up. He was very.
I mean,
good
if
at
you
that.
see in the last few years, you see he's doing that. They're just not doing their jobs. They're
Right.
missing assignments.
Yeah.
They're letting guys rush right up the middle. They're opening up the ends. That's not his fault.
Right.
And he's calling. He's doing the best he can. He can't help but getting blindsided every friggin' time.
Right.
But even in going back to that fair game I like to talk about, that on the road beating Dallas with the Terrell Owens crying and all that.
Yeah.
It was just a perfect culmination of Tom Coughlin and Eli's vision coalescing and
Yeah.
really being able to play their way because granted you had Plexico, but I don't even think he had that many big plays in that game. I don't remember really. I'm not sure, but I think it was mostly the journeyman they had. What's his name?
Toomer.
He played for Monty
Monty
Toomer.
Toomer.
Right,
Yeah.
he had a big catch. He
Yeah,
had
he
several bigs. Well, I think he had like a 55-yard catch and run to a touchdown.
Right.
And then you had Kevin Boss had a lot of great plays in there. And then there were all these like role players that came up big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the defensive end, you had what's his name? What was his name?
Strahan?
R.W.
Oh, was that Osu Manure? No, that wasn't him, right?
No, and he made the interception on Romo in the last few seconds to end that game.
Oh, I don't even
What,
remember.
can you look up his name?
I mean,
Nichols? Was it
was that
R.W.
been,
Nichols? He
was
only
that-
played like 2 seasons,
Oh,
maybe.
really?
I
remember with that was back when we had like I think Corey Webster.
Webster and
back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's
You know what's
R.W.
just like
Nichols.
Quarters.
Quarters. Nichols.
Quarters. Oh, that's funny.
He's some kind of change.
That's pretty good to remember that though.
Oh,
Yeah,
my!
yeah,
You know,
But so that's what I'm saying. But he had a lot of role player. Even Tyree catch, of course,
Yes.
nobody will ever forget that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was an amazing play, but he was not an amazing player.
He was a
No.
special teams player.
Right.
He was a special teams
And this
guy
is
that
how
came
they
in
did it all
from-
the time.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he was not with the Giants the following year. He went to play somebody else last
I
season.
think he had another season and
No.
got rid of him.
No,
I
I
think they
mean,
held
we
on
could
to
look
him for
into
a
that,
while.
but
Yeah,
I
we could.
think
Don't you
he
love
was-
how he's not sure? But no, I'm not sure. But no,
And I'm
absolutely.
pretty sure he
100%
was on
Find out.
the. He might have wrote the bench, but even like
But the point
Hickson
is,
made him a better player.
but yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
did.
No, he
He-
did.
no, he did.
Steve
He made-
Smith
yeah.
looked like a world beater
That's
at one
a
point.
big one, man. He made
We
Steve Smith.
traded him, and I was actually sad
Yeah.
at first. He didn't really go anywhere.
What was the other guy? Nix.
Hakeem
Hakeem Nicks.
That's
He
what
never
I'm saying.
really. He never became.
They never
really anything else
materialized.
after that.
Cruz,
Yeah.
I think, was the injury.
Cruz, I think, honestly, could have done very well.
Right.
Because he was a
That injury
slot
was
wide receiver, and
major.
slot is a very great position to come out of as a wide receiver. That injury, it's the worst possible
It was
injury
devastating,
for that guy.
They said he lost
You
quite a
know.
bit on his.
All right, here's what David
Yeah.
Tyree. He was there in the 27th season. I mean, the 2007 season.
The 27th season.
I think 2009 they got
The
rid of him. They cut him.
2070 season.
And he missed the following year to injury.
Okay,
And
2009 they cut him, right?
Went to the
then,
Ravens.
2009 he went to the
Right, I
Baltimore
knew he
Ravens.
was there
Baltimore Ravens.
But,
And then he didn't play again after that.
Yeah.
Another tight, Bennett. He made Bennett look amazing.
yeah, Bennett. He made
You
Bennett
know?
look good.
And that's what I'm saying. I think he really. I don't think he gets enough credit for elevating other people. Like, he was a team player. He's the type of guy, instead of taking it on his shoulders directly all the time, he knew who to pass to,
Yes.
who could make the play. You know what I mean? I think he was the kind of guy who, if he was a basketball player, would have a tremendous amount of assist.
Yeah, right.
You know
yes,
what I mean?
yes, yeah,
That's the kind of
exactly.
analogy I'm trying to get at. He
Yeah.
just was a team player.
He was
Yeah.
a team player, and the one thing I loved about the press conference is that he really loved playing for the Giants. You know, like
Right.
he said, you know, Wellington Mara. So this is one of the biggest quotes, best quotes of that, and it literally made me tear up. And I'll be honest, I teared up a lot during it, especially when John Mara, the owner of the Giants, came out, and he actually started to tear up when he was talking about his father, Wellington Mara. I guess like one of the last years before he passed away was when Eli was first drafted, and he was there to watch Eli's first game. And John Mara tells a story about when they left the stadium after Eli's first game as a starter.
he won with that 2-minute drill.
He went with we got something special here. That guy's going to be special. And then, unfortunately, he passed away at the end of that year. But, you know, Eli at one point said, "For most of my life, people have called me easy," Manning said. "Believe me, there's nothing easy about today." He said, Wellington Mara, John Mara's father, always said, "Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant." And I think that literally
very
sums up
touching.
his whole personality. He loved being a giant. That's all he cared about was being a giant. He didn't care about anything else.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
He was
At
always
the
a
end of
class
the day,
act.
that was it.
I have to give it
And
to
I
him.
think that's why people will remember him even maybe better than he really was. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Because you want so bad for
Yeah,
him
exactly.
to be a winner. I think you
Yeah.
root for him.
Yeah.
Well, he was a Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner. He has known for being very involved in the communities, especially
Right.
with St. Jude's Children's Hospital. He was big with that.
He has a lot of time up.
It's funny because like we talked, so you and I were talking about this, and there was other big news in New York sports, and because Eli really reminds us a lot of the New York football version of Derek Jeter.
Right.
And
Yes.
who also got big news today, this week that Derek Jeter's in the Hall of Fame, and it's just like those
Favorite
two.
Yankee.
Congrats to
Jeter.
Derek Jeter getting into the Hall of Fame. Eli
He didn't
might
get
be-
the
we might be doing
100%,
that for
which
him.
I'm kind of pissed at. Who was
didn't
the
get it
asshole who
unanimous.
didn't
Did you hear?
vote for
Yeah.
him?
You heard
who's-
Eli? Eli said only one of you didn't vote for him. He was mentioning about, do you think one day that you'll be in that position or something? He was classy as usual, saying,
Yeah.
I don't even think about that. I'm just happy to be where I am right now.
Yeah, of course.
But he said, I know one of you didn't vote for Derek, and since there's only one, you're probably in this room right now. Who are you? Or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
funny.
it
I
was
wonder who it
Oh my
was.
God, that's
There's got to be a
hilarious.
way to find out who the
Probably
one person
David
was.
Ortiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but the people who vote on it
Boston
is
fanatic.
Well, they're sports writers.
There's a
They're-
bunch
it's
of
the-
them.
sports writers.
it's
So it's
the,
probably the Boston
Associated
sports
Press.
writers.
Associated Press. Yeah.
Probably the Boston from Boston.
No, it wasn't Boston.
Well,
They know
and
that.
then one-
I actually think he, for some reason, I remember hearing that he was from Seattle. I think possibly. I don't know.
I'll get his
I don't know.
address.
I feel like I remember hearing.
Oh
that.
my
What do-
God, this poor guy's probably gonna get hit.
What do they
by the way.
know?
Whatever.
We're not
But
gonna
again,
mention
what-
they asked Jeter about. I'm sorry, Joe.
Yeah.
They asked Jeter about that though, about the one, and of course he's a consummate professional. Also,
Yeah.
he always says the right things, even if it's a little boring sometimes.
Sure.
But
Right.
he's a good guy, and you want good guys to be
Exactly.
good.
That's
And they were
that's
both
exactly it.
clutch players. I mean, Jeter more so, I would say. Jeter was always somehow in the right place at the right time,
Right.
whether it's running across the field to cut off a ball and then throw someone out of home, diving in the stands, getting all bruised up, making a spectacular catch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he knows the game at a very high level.
Yeah.
He knows where to be, who hits where. You can see he does. It's not just natural talent. There's people who have natural talent, and I'll be the first one to admit I don't like Averoid, but he has natural.
Yeah.
He didn't need roids.
No,
the guy's
no.
he is naturally a very talented baseball
Yeah, he was
player.
just a sociopath who wanted,
Right.
who
That's
wanted
borderline
to be
person.
like the best. That's
right.
Yeah.
And it almost ruined that friendship. Remember, they used to be somewhat a friend. It got pretty tenuous
somewhat
after
friendly,
that.
and that was
Right,
it, yeah.
yep.
But in any case, I think Jeter wasn't just. He probably didn't even have as much skill, honestly, like raw skill. But I think his commitment to the game,
Yeah.
and his knowledge and being
Oh, for sure.
a teammate made him better.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And plus, like, he was a all-out player. He was a real balls-to-the-wall player. All those plays of him diving into the stands.
Right, exactly.
When he cut his face up really bad. Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Diving for the
yeah.
one ball. You have a lot of respect for those guys. Those are the guys you just
you have
utterly
great players,
respect.
know, but and then you also know him like. I think Abreu was one of those guys who'd ease up when he got toward the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
Shorthand things, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
not to like blow him up, but there was a
Exactly.
lot of players like that.
Yeah.
They don't run out that single. He always ran it.
He
You ever
always
see him
ran
jog
out.
and run
No,
off? Never.
no, exactly.
Right.
This guy was
Never.
hustling every
He
time.
hustled every single, all of them.
So,
Yeah, but Eli, it reminds me of like all those kinds of guys, the Cal Ripken Juniors. You know, the guys that are just these real dedicated
yeah.
players. Stuff
That
like
don't
that.
miss games.
And and it's just like and everybody respects them for it. And I think that. I'm gonna miss Eli. Some of my best memories is the three of us jumping up and down, hugging when they beat the Patriots in 2012. I was a little young in 2008. I mean, I was like, I think I was 15.
I have pictures of that.
I was like
That's
15, I
way
think
more.
then. But so I mean, I remember. It wasn't like I don't remember. I remember it
no.
very, very vividly. But
I had
the
a
big
great time.
one, like I was a Giants fan then, but I was still young enough, and I was in high school,
Right.
so I had a lot of distractions. In 2012, my life at that whole season was Giants. I mean, like we actually went to a game that
Yeah.
year.
They
and I
ruined the
remember,
perfect
like,
season.
Went to that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yes, they did.
And I just remember like.
And
that
Tom
was the
Brady
biggest
mentioned that he sent the tweet out. I
Oh,
think it
yes,
was,
he did.
To,
Oh, what was that?
Eli
Thank
Manning.
you for mentioning that. I'm so
And he
so
wanted
happy
to
you reminded me of that.
he congratulated
So
the
funny.
Eli
As he
Manning.
should.
And wished him the best. And he said, "But the only thing I have to say is I do wish.
I really wish you hadn't won those two Super
those
Bowls.
two Super Bowls."
I was like, it's so funny. Like that's funny even for Tom Brady.
So yeah, so that was sort of a
laughing.
humbling thing for Tom Brady to have to say,
Yeah,
kind of.
man.
But that was cool.
Very cool, man. But a lot of people sent messages. I was surprised they brought the player. So Tom Coughlin was there at the press conference. He came up on stage, took a picture with him. I'm not sure. I don't know if that was Kevin Gilbride who was with him. I think it might have been. But then they brought all the players in, and then the one thing I thought was very cool, and I think it's very poignant to their relationship, is that Daniel Jones was there, and I thought that was pretty cool. I know like they were pretty close. Now they
Right.
both trained at Duke, and that's where Peyton Manning and Eli Manning's quarterback coach
Right.
was the Duke quarterback coach, and that's where Daniel Jones played. So they knew each other fairly well before he was even drafted, and apparently they were close. There's that one hilarious Twitter video. It is so funny. They are the two whitest guys on planet Earth. They were at a bar in New York City, and they're both wearing just like button-ups tucked into a belt into khaki pants, and they're like dancing and they're like doing shots, but they're like doing like the white man's overbite. It's so funny, man.
What I'm really going to miss a lot, too, not only that fact that I'm going to miss Eli, and as a Giant fan, I thank
Screaming
you
at
for all
each
of the
other.
great
Yeah.
moments that you provided, 2 Super Bowls, and being able to, some great teams and some great things that happened. I'm going to miss the commercials with your brother.
Dude, they said, it's funny.
Yeah, they talked about
you and your
brought that
brother.
up
So
in the
he's going to
press
be in
conference.
movies.
Oh,
Just,
yeah. They said.
Well, Mara was saying, John Mara.
John Mara said, I heard that because.
And you got to tell your brother to
yeah.
stop doing the pizza commercials. No, he's got to do
No,
the other
he
ones are
stopped
funny.
doing that.
Everybody after Papa John.
Papa John's
Oh,
had
Papa John,
the
yeah.
Papa
that
John's
controversy.
not doing well.
Not doing too
right.
well after that.
Yeah.
But John Mara at one because I guess Steve Tisch is the co-owner. I guess he has a film studio that he owns. He was saying, I know he wants to put you in some movies, and he goes, I don't know about any of those commercials you used to do, but if you've learned anything from them, you'll be much better in these movies that you're going to do.
Yeah.
He said he's going to be in the Equalizer 3.
Yeah, the Equalizer 3. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the other thing we were talking about being professionals or whatever, and we're making that correlation between Jeter and Manning.
Yeah.
When he was asked about the one voter Jeter who didn't vote for him, he also said it doesn't matter. Why focus on that? I just focus on the fact that I'm a first round Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Who cares?
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no, I know it doesn't matter.
Let me ask you. I'm going to give you a little trivia question. See if you guys know this. Very recently, there was a Yankee who played with Derek Jeter who was recently a unprecedented unanimous vote into the first ballot Hall of Famer. Do you guys know who it was? It was like within the past 4 or 5 years. Mariano Rivera. That's who it is.
Yes,
he was unanimous.
Yeah, they came out and congratulated him.
He was unanimous Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Mo, man.
Yeah, man.
They haven't never
So,
found another Mo since he's gone.
Never. Well, I mean,
The guy
Chapman's
throws-
never going to
Mo.
be as good. He's not going to be as
And
good.
the guy thinks the thing is about Mo. I mean, I can remember off the top of my head, and I'm sure obviously he's blown more, but I only remember like one big blown game on his part. It's like he rare so
The only time,
consistent.
the only one was unfortunately there was the big one that he's known for with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
The playoffs.
He gave up the hit to Steve Finley.
The go ahead, right?
Yeah.
So,
And
I have-
that's what I think about the guy's career. And he threw 2 pitches basically.
Yeah.
A fastball and a cut fastball. That's
Yeah.
basically
Yeah,
what he
yeah.
So
threw.
that's what's so funny. I saw this hilarious tweet that said, like the whole Astro sign stealing thing, and it said like, "Oh, you're stealing signs? Cool, real cool, man. I'm gonna throw you a cutter."
Oh,
and
my
like,
God.
no, everybody
I'm saying.
Mariano Rivera only threw cutters. Everyone knew it was going to be a cutter, and
didn't
no
matter.
one could still
Couldn't
hit
hit
it.
it, yeah.
Still
It didn't
couldn't
matter.
hit
You're
it.
getting little dinks off of it.
Yeah,
Just
hilarious.
It wasn't
buckling his
Steve
knees.
Finley that got the winning hit.
He was on second
Oh, was
base.
it?
He was on second, I think.
But
Right?
Luis
I
I always
Gonzalez
get confused. Luis
got the
Gonzalez.
hit.
Okay,
Okay.
he got the hit. Okay, so Steve Finley, I think was on
So,
second. I always
mean,
get those two confused. But
I
yeah.
can't say like enough about what a great teams they were. I mean,
Yeah.
that's dynasty, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
And I grew up during that time. I mean, I remember Winfield when I was very young. I would go to the Yankees games late '80s.
Yeah.
Dave Righetti. I remember them, but I also remember them losing a lot.
Yeah, sure.
And 94, 95, I was in high school. I was more of an avid baseball fan, and
Sure.
that's of course when they took off and
Yeah.
the Torre era and that again they did have great players, but they also had great surrounding what do you call them, like role
Supporting?
players,
Yeah.
role players,
Yeah.
supporting players, role players, and they owe a lot to those people.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So what do you think?
Well,
I'm going to ask
one
2
thing-
questions.
Oh, well, I wish I was. Okay, you go ahead.
2 questions. Number 1, what do you?
Well, take
what
your
do you-
hand away from your mouth. So we
What
can
do you
hear
think? First of all, Eli's going to end up doing. Do you think he'll go into the commentator booth, or do you think he'll do coaching, or do you think he'll just
I
retire?
think he's going to take over
oblivion?
for Elon Musk. I think he's going
Right.
to put Teslas into
He's in
space.
Teslas.
And
yes,
the other question
might do commercials
I
Yeah.
wanted to
I think
ask
he definitely will.
if he can fit into one. He's pretty tall.
is I can't remember what the other question was. So you
right.
finish what yours. I lost my train.
I'll
of
give
thought.
you $20 if you can figure out what he was going to ask. And
I
then
know
answer.
literally what he's
Yeah.
going to be doing. He's going to be watching the Super Bowl this Sunday because that's coming up this Sunday. So literally speaking,
Super
that's what
Bowl.
he's going to
Yeah,
be
that's
doing.
what he's
is
going to be
doing
doing.
that.
I mean, for a
So-
career, do you think he'll
Yeah,
go
what
into?
I mean,
doing
for a
something
career, I would
football?
think that he's probably gonna. I don't think he's gonna be the analyst. No, I honestly don't think. I
I
mean,
don't see him really being.
I don't see him doing anything in football. Really,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Oh, I remember
he's
the
gonna
other
stay
question.
out there.
How long do you think it will be before we see the next generation of Mannings in pro
What
football?
is his nephew supposed to be?
Oh,
Unbelievable
I
or
don't
something?
know. Oh, really? I
And they
didn't
were
even know
talking
that.
about, we probably won't see another Manning for such and such. I forgot yet.
Oh,
yeah,
no
there's
way.
some kids breaking records already.
Oh,
yeah,
no
yeah.
shit.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, look,
Oh, I
can
didn't
you
know
look that up? Or
What's up?
yeah, they were saying that we probably won't see another Manning until.
There's another.
Is there a nephew or something? There's another
Manning nephew.
No, I think it was his
Some kind of
Archie
relative.
Manning was saying that like either a nephew or one of the grandkids was like better than Peyton and Eli or something.
Really?
I don't know. During the press conference for his retirement, they were mentioning it.
Really?
That he's already mad good or something. I
Oh
don't
wow,
know.
really? That'd be pretty.
I
cool.
don't think they were
We'll have
kidding.
to follow
Yeah.
that.
Well, that's going to suck because I'm not going to play for the Giants. We're going to have DJ for a while.
Well, you never know.
But in the meantime, before
nephew of Eli and Peyton.
Nephew of Eli. Oh.
Now what? And what is he at? Like
so
what level is
that's
he
Cooper's
playing?
brother. Then that's the other Manning's brother. That's all you want.
Cooper was supposed to be the best
And he
athlete
hurt his knee
according
or something?
And
Yeah, he tore his ACL like completely.
Yeah, he was according to both
He was a wide
the
receiver.
brothers. They said that Cooper was a better athlete than either one of them.
Yeah, it's Cooper.
So
And what level is he playing at now? Is he high school football? Is he
Meets with
college?
LSU after
Yeah.
incredible
Meets with
freshman
LSU
season.
after a freshman season. Wow.
So
Wow.
maybe it won't be
Wow.
so long. Maybe we'll get another Manning going.
That's kind of crazy,
Yeah.
man. Holy crap.
we're gonna have to push for that.
Can you imagine what it's like to be part of that family? Though?
No.
Oh my God.
That's like being a Watt. TJ
JJ
Watt's going to be.
is
He was an All-Pro finalist. JJ Watt was an All-Pro finalist. It's crazy, man, to be like one of these legacies.
Yeah.
Especially at the same. How weird is it that like at the same position you have a lot of. There's not too often
I
where you
know,
see a
and
brothers.
defensive positions.
And on the defense.
And be well known. Too bad
Yeah.
there's some great defensive players, but offensive tech usually
Yeah.
get more
Right.
hype.
Exactly, for sure, man.
But
they're equally good, probably.
yeah,
honestly,
dude,
which
it's
is
pretty crazy.
But I thought we'd just wrap this up real quick with just briefly giving a quick little preview. We did it already for the Super Bowl, but
Super Bowl.
By the time this comes out, it should be this will be our little mini-sode for Thursday. So basically, what is that? 3 or 4 days from today, we got the Super Bowl. So as of right now, basically, if you've already lost track, all of our picks are out. Every single one of us picked
one.
wrong.
So nobody
The
loses.
only person who I think has a pick at
my
all
team
in
will
it,
still be there.
You have a team that's
I have
going to
a
be
team.
in
No,
it,
I had the
and that's
49ers.
the Chiefs. Oh, you picked the 49ers?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
you did pick 49ers.
All right, I picked the Chiefs to be there, but
But
I
you
picked
picked the
them to
Ravens
lose,
to
so.
win the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I think
believe
so.
you
Yes,
did, yeah.
I think I did.
So none of our like Super Bowl winners are still in it, but
Yeah.
you have a team in it, and you have a team in it.
Yes.
So as of right now, that bet is looking like we're going to have to
So it's
amend
me
it a little
versus-
bit.
I don't
Me
know it,
versus
man.
Rob?
I didn't know the Niners were going to be
Yeah.
so tough.
I know, it's
I didn't think they'd
crazy.
be
So
that good.
It's
I
me
didn't see that
versus
happen.
Rob then, I guess, right? Technically,
I
since we're
guess.
still
I mean,
outstanding in the
it's
Super Bowl,
kind
you
of-
guys are out.
We're kind of all losers versus the other
Yeah.
loser.
So you
So
we get
this is
to
our
pick.
consolation.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
I'll
whoever
just
wins
stay with
gets
your
to
team.
pick-
You be Niners, I'll be Chiefs.
Yeah, and
exactly.
well, we have to. We already made
Yeah.
this claim.
Yeah, that
it's
sounds
on
good. We
film,
do
but
that.
whoever wins gets to
little
choose
adjustment.
2 bad movies for everybody else.
Too bad.
Two bad movies. Oh my gosh! How about whoever loses
You have
gets
to
to just take a mallet and beat the other person in the head with it?
You'll
How
have
about
to
that?
watch a whole season's highlight reels for the team that you hate the most for the NFL.
You know what would be a punishment if Joe made us watch the movies and shows he actually likes?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to watch Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Diaries.
4 hours straight Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Janot and Walt
They're just
fall.
a
I'm
couple
gonna watch
episodes.
all the
I
worst
gotta pick
episodes of
up.
Star Trek, right back
my
to
God.
back. Yeah, man, dude, I was disappointed that the Titans didn't make it. I would have loved to have seen them make it. We were all
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
sitting there with like, oh my god, like
might
Brian.
happen.
Brian almost called it.
Yeah.
Like Brian was about to change his picks, and then
To the
he like he
Titans.
did.
Yeah.
Either
You
way,
did-
it didn't work out. But
Exactly what I said
Yeah.
was, this is too bold of a pick to make, so I'm not going to do it.
right,
Right.
exactly. And I guess
I
it
said
worked out.
there were some good playoff games though.
Yeah.
I was really, even though I didn't think Seattle was
Couple
going to
of
make it.
clunkers,
Russell
too.
Wilson played so well.
Yeah.
That guy. Tell about someone putting. I felt like he put his whole team on his damn
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Because the running
The
game
worst
wasn't
game
going
of the-
anywhere.
the
It was
worst
rough.
game
The
of the-
O line
Yeah,
looked
man.
sloppy.
Yeah,
The
what the
wor-
hell happened to the running
Oh,
game?
God.
The worst game was the 49 Green Bay game, I think. That was like the most boring one, right?
Well, he's throwing seven
Yeah.
passes. So
Yeah,
it's kinda-
exactly.
Did you hear what's his name when he came out? Bradshaw. He's like, that's all right. I won a Super Bowl throwing 8 passes.
Oh, really? That's
wow.
hilarious.
He
All right.
won. Bradshaw's got 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
No
So
joke, man.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert. Good for him, man. Good for
Yeah.
you, buddy.
Hey, did you see him interviewing
Came on
him?
his back.
He
No.
said you were so out of my line of sight or something, and like I know he meant it to be funny, but it was kind of effed up.
Really? Oh
He's
my
like
God.
Bradshaw, you know, he's something like I thought you were mustard or something.
Oh
Something
my
like he thought his name
So
was mustard
corny.
or
Oh my
something.
They
gosh,
call
he's like
him-
a corny
He was
guy.
or Montserrat. I think he said something ridiculous.
The
Oh
fantasy
my God.
footballers call him Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard. I think you told me that's funny. That's pretty funny.
It was him
like that.
in the end zone with a football.
Yeah.
Him in the
Yeah.
end zone with 100.
That's what they do on the podcast.
1,000
On the
yards
podcast,
rushing,
yeah.
or
My God.
whatever the heck it was.
220.
He looked
220.
invincible. My
Nuts,
God.
man. He set a record. Can you believe that?
He's just everywhere.
Journeyman running back set a record in the playoffs. By the way, I want to mention real quick. You know that Eli Manning has the record for most consecutive completions in the Super Bowl. He holds that record 10.
Wow.
He threw 10 consecutive completions. Just a little fun fact. There you go.
Hey.
Is that true?
Yep, that's true.
Real
I, just
quick,
saw,
I don't know.
I was watching his highlight reel yesterday. They said that.
The
Yeah.
two quarterbacks that I primarily remember during my entire life, because one of them was playing the year after I was born, is Phil Simms.
Yep.
I basically
Yeah.
remember him most of my youth, and Hostetler when he took over during the playoffs when Simms got hurt. And then Eli. Those are only 2
Yeah.
quarterbacks. I mean, that's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
2 quarterbacks. Look how many teams go through a quarterback a season.
Yeah.
You know
The
what I mean?
Browns.
The Browns. They're
The
got
Browns.
how many quarterbacks in? Oh my God.
There's
Wow.
there's almost like no more quarterbacks in the U.S. left. Like they're like, we're running low. It's like interest rates are going up on quarterbacks. We can't afford it anymore. Inflation. It's all screwed up.
I was wondering, Joe, you were a little bit older than us, so you probably have more memory of Phil Sims.
I'm a little older than you.
Are
guys?
you?
A little bit.
Well, you remember Phil Sims's, dad.
Yes.
You saw his
Yes.
dad play. His
He
dad
was
play.
okay, but I could see where
Phil
the
Sims, he has two Super Bowls too, right? But
All right, let's clarify that. It was
Didn't Hostetler win?
he
He
basically
has
won.
Super Bowl.
And he was a runner.
Yeah, because
That crazy
Hostetler
mustache.
took
He has 2 rings, but
Hostetler took over
like the
I don't
first
know.
or second playoff?
No, he took over during the season.
It was during. Yeah, I just
And I don't
remember
know if
he
it was
ran
the
a lot.
last-
That was the first time I ever seen a quarterback
He
running.
was a running quarterback. He was also. I loved Hostetler. I thought he would have been really
He
good.
looked
He
a
ended up
little
going
like
to
that.
the Raiders after that. Played for them for 2 or 3 years. So
He
he
had
did pretty
some
good with them.
mustache, that guy. I remember that.
He
That's what I
played very
remember
well.
even now.
So I
He
can't
reminds me
credit.
of a man. What's his name?
I can't credit Phil
his
Sims with the
bandana.
second.
freaking
Super
Gardner
Bowl.
Minshew.
Yeah, a little Minshew.
Is he like that? He's like a Gardner Minshew.
It's like the original Minshew.
That is no idea.
I mean,
he's completely
not wearing
lost. He doesn't know
shorts
what
and
we're
all
saying.
that, but you bring up a picture of him real quick. Brian should pop a picture, or you put it on the thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I just remember he had a mustache. That's all I
No, he
remember.
did. He had a mustache.
And
yeah.
like
a lot of people said he looked like me.
But okay.
That
Oh,
we
I never said
similar.
that.
No, at the time, I was always. A lot of people compared.
I don't know. Maybe this is just how I
my
remember
looks
him
to him.
Because it was so long ago that I've really.
Him and Sylvester Stallone. A lot of people said,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
I don't
Really?
think anybody says that.
No, I've heard Scarlett
Oh, yeah.
Johansson. for
Scarlett
you.
Johansson.
I heard
yes.
after like Rocky 1 at the end. That's when you look.
Yes,
funny.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
He just gets
exactly.
beaten.
Yes,
to death.
that's
Right.
probably true.
Adrian.
When she has to cut his eyelids open.
That's
yeah.
that's
And you
probably
have the
true.
same thought process. Adrian, it's just movie.
That's how I feel today.
No, but what I was going to ask you is, how do they match up? Like in my head, they're probably pretty similar. I think.
But no.
No?
Well, no. Eli Manning has better stats overall.
Does he?
during
Eli
the
Manning-
season.
Because I always thought Sims was like kind of
Eli
average.
Manning has better, but the one
Yeah.
thing
Or a
that
little better now.
yeah,
the one
I think
thing-
he's better.
the one thing
than
that,
Phil Simms, for
And he was
sure.
number 11, right, Sims?
yes, the
yeah.
one thing that Sims has, I think, over Eli Manning was he had a 14-2 season during the Super Bowl year in 1987. They won the '86 season. They had a
Okay.
14-2 record.
LT.
They won the Super Bowl.
Again, I still think that was more of the
LT.
what some people consider to be some people consider to be the greatest defense of all time, even better than the
Lawrence
85
Taylor and
Bears.
everybody else.
And
Yeah.
at the very
Yeah,
at the very least, it's the second best. It wasn't even just Lawrence Taylor. That was when they had Lawrence Taylor.
Taylor,
they had
they had
Harry
Joe-
Carson.
George
Carl Banks
Martin.
was still doing great. They had
But I
George
mean,
Martin.
even
Gary
look at those
Reed,
games. I remember
they had-
the Niners were a dynasty then, though.
Yeah.
Right prior to
I remember
that,
they were
yes.
amazing.
And but actually, no, they were a dynasty.
They
and
had
then-
Ronnie Lott, Joe Montana. They had a
Jerry
squad.
Rice.
Yeah,
Jerry
and
Rice.
they were good, and then they were almost like the Raiders and the Steelers, where they had a
But
couple
nobody
years
was.
in
Just,
there,
you
but they
couldn't
had a
beat that
dynasty.
defense. There's nothing you could do about that defense.
So-
Yeah.
You
But
Not to
as
put you
far
on
as
the
compare-
spot, but yeah.
As
I'm gonna
far
put
as
you on the
comparing,
spot.
I
Yeah.
love Phil Sims. I love this style of play.
Yeah.
I probably
He's a pocket passer.
I like the way he played. I think he looked better in the pocket, I guess, than Eli. I want to say. I don't know that he was. I think he had a more accurate passer. I mean, he was more, his spiral was tighter and nicer. I think he was a more accurate type passer than
Yeah.
Eli. But Eli, comparing it to, it's hard to compare. I think Eli overall is definitely a better quarterback, just based on his season stats and the things that he's done, the amount of yards that he's played. But it's hard to compare the 1990s to the 2000s.
I mean, they both had long careers.
Well, that's how
They
you
did,
feel.
but
Played
here's-
right from
but here's the difference.
1979 to 90 what?
But here's the difference. Back in the day of back in those
more.
days when Phil Sims played football, they didn't have free agency. You had your teammates for years. Everyone was the same. It was very rare that the player would leave a team. So teams became dynasties because the players would get better and better, and they'd pick up a player here and there, and they would build teams, and the teams would stay together for multiple years. Teams were, I think, stronger. The rules for defenses and things of that nature were different than they are today. Quarterbacks today are protected. There's
a lot more, right. It's
there's
a different quarterback
There's a
era,
bubble
for sure.
around quarterbacks today. Back
Right,
then,
right. You touch your
it
foot,
was,
you're
it
like,
was you were
15
open,
yards.
You were open season. I don't.
Right.
If you switched the two quarterbacks, and you switched
Eli'd be
Eli,
crushed, yeah.
I think Eli would be done. I don't think any quarterback from today's generation could go back to the '90s and play football.
Every generation
They'd get
says
killed.
that, don't they?
Yeah, they
No,
all say
but
that.
and I'm not. I don't. I
understand.
wouldn't normally say
So,
it that
all
way,
right.
but the
Gun
rules
to your
today.
head, what quarterback do you take?
If I had, it's tough to say.
Just
it's hard
career
to
to
compare.
career. They both played for the same team for a long ass time. That's all
I
good.
loved Phil Sims.
This is getting this is
But I
getting a
think-
little long. It's supposed to be a
Yes.
mini
I think-
Dad. It's not a
I
full
think
episode.
Eli- I think
It's a stroke sode.
I think Eli Manning right now, I'd have to say, is better just based on stats.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
There
right.
you go.
There
Eli
it is.
Manning's better.
Yeah. And
you heard it here, loosely related
Oh,
podcast.
we're
Eli Manning
hot
is
takes.
the single greatest quarterback
Hot
in the history
takes.
of cricket.
Yeah.
In the history of
In the
cricket.
history of cricket.
Before I forget, I do
Yes.
just want to say one thing. Shout out to my sister Yolanda. Happy birthday.
Okay.
I hope you have a great day. I forgot to say
Yes.
this earlier. I don't want her to punk me. I said I was going to do something for her on the podcast.
Oh, nice. Okay,
So,
great, man. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday,
birthday.
Yoli.
Happy birthday.
And also, I
Happy
want to give a
birthday.
quick little shout out. We have an interview coming up, and so this will be
Very, very special
in
guest.
two episodes from now. So about 2 weeks, we're gonna have a special guest.
I'm looking
I
forward
don't
to
want
this
to give
one.
any spoilers alert right now, but you're gonna want to stay tuned for that one. It should be a really interesting episode. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. You're gonna really enjoy
absolutely.
it. And we hope you stay tuned. I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. If you want, leave us some comments down below who you think is going to win the Super
Let's go,
Bowl. And if you're a
Mahomes.
Giants fan, let us know what you thought about Eli Manning's career. Other than that, take care and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.
Bye.